Thanks, Romit. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this session. My name is Akshat, and I have been working as a consultant in analytics domain with SAP for the past 7 years. I have experience in delivering projects on reporting, dashboarding, application development, and data modeling. I'm also joined by my colleagues Ashish and Ankuta, who will be helping me out with the Q&A during the live session. So today we will be starting with a basic introduction to the partner certification program, followed by covering 4 units as given in the sequence. We have also planned some quick checkpoints after various topics, which will have some polls for the participants and also to clear the questions or doubt that you may have from the topics delivered. Kindly post your questions using the Q&A panel so that it will be convenient for us to answer during those checkpoints or live. So we also have a 15 minutes break planned after 2 units. So let's get started. So the goal of the Partner Certification Academies is simple. We want to prepare you for your certification exam by delivering in live sessions our condensed version of the learning journey content available on learning.sap.com. Through a certification academy, you obtain new expertise on SAP BTP. SAP experts walk you through the content quicker and more efficiently than the self-paced study of the learning journeys and provide you an opportunity to engage and get answer to your questions live, either in the main sessions or through the dedicated Ask the Expert sessions. In the last session, we will share some more details on the free certification incentive, but you are also welcome to explore on your own via the link in the lower right of the slide. Now we will talk about some benefits a certification provides for your own career. Obviously, besides the new skill set and the knowledge you will obtain through this academy, it's a huge benefit for you as an individual to get certified because it makes you objectively more attractive as a SAP consultant. So this slide represents some statistics on how doing a certification can drive your career growth and earning potential. For example, 91% people said that they had greater self-confidence after doing a certification, which is normal, especially in cases where you are a beginner in the area. So as you increase your skill set, there will open up new opportunities, which leads to more responsibilities, job promotions, and salary increases. Certifications also help your current employee as customers prefer to work with knowledgeable and skilled partners. So it's not just about doing the job, but doing the job right. So when it comes to SAP projects, customers usually prefer partners who have certified and qualified SAP consultants to manage SAP projects. SAP certification helps partners to demonstrate their skills in the latest SAP technologies and earn the trust of the customers. And lastly, certified consultants are very important to SAP as it helps increase the project delivery success and reduce the project escalations. So in addition, we have recently launched the new partner competency framework, which categorizes partners by the competency and the specialization they offer the market, giving customers transparency on the skills, expertise, and the maturity of a partner's SAP practice. So it provides partners with new branding and logo opportunities and plays a critical role in ensuring customers can find the right partners on the partner finder. For SAP BTP partners can specialize in 3 different areas across the 3 levels of maturity in the framework, which comes with increased fulfillment requirements. As you can see from the chart, certified solution consultants is one of the key requirements for all maturity level and hence making certification a vital component of any partner SAP practice. So while purely optional, it is strongly encouraged to complete your certification following the academy through the steps outlined on the next slide. So the flow that we envision is quite simple. Since you have registered, you will have received invitations to the sessions that the academy consists of. The first three is what you can consider the main sessions. This is where we deliver the condensed learning content, while the last one is the optional Ask the Expert session, where at least I and maybe a colleague or two will be available to answer the questions you might have. Please note that the questions should be within the scope defined by the learning journey and that we cannot cover BTP questions beyond that. Questions that we cannot answer live will be followed up on. As a reminder, attending an academy should sufficiently prepare you for the associated certification exam. However, it remains attendees' responsibility to get familiar with all the learning journey content in order to pass the certification exam. So in this slide, we will discuss the setup for our sessions. This academy is based on the developing applications running on SAP BTP using HANA Cloud content, which is part of the preparation for the associated certification exam. So there are three prerequisites of the course. Mainly, first is having a basic knowledge of JavaScript, then having basic knowledge of cloud development concepts, and also there's a HANA Cloud Foundation recording which covers the first 4 units of the learning journey. We will also do a quick recap for this section. However, it's advised to watch the full video available at the link. Besides the first 4 units being covered in the HANA Cloud Foundation recording, we have 13 more units. These are divided into 3 sessions. So today we will be covering the 4 units which cover the introduction to application development on HANA Cloud, SAP CAP programming model, describing the basic MTA and managing the source code using Git. In the second session, we'll be discussing about creating a persistent model in HANA Cloud using CDS, the various deployment options available. Then we will cover how to create OData services and creating HANA SQL script procedures, followed by introduction to the Node.js module. In the last session, which is we'll discuss the event and the error handling. We'll create a UI interface, discuss the application security, and also the job scheduling service. So last one is the Ask the Expert session where we'll dedicate 1 hour for the Q&A. And also please note that the learning journey content and certification exam questions change occasionally. So it is your responsibility to ensure you are up to date with the latest learning content. And also throughout this course, we have some hands-on exercises in the form of simulations, which are also a part of the learning journey itself. So we will be playing those simulations during the sessions. Right. So slides and recordings will automatically be distributed via email to all the participants about 2 business days after the last session in this enablement series. However, since the Ask the Expert session happens typically 10 days following the last content session, so we do not want to delay access to these. So we will be providing a temporary share where you can access these typically within 1 business day after each session. So I'll request Ashish if you can just paste the URL in the chat window. So do take a copy of that for the recordings. So we'll be uploading the recordings there. So yep. So we'll be starting with unit 1, which is the introducing application development in HANA Cloud. So we'll start off the sessions by doing a quick recap of the first 4 units available in the HANA Cloud Foundation link. In this particular unit, we will introduce the use case for development in HANA Cloud and the various personas used for application development. And we'll also discuss the use case that we are going to develop in the hands-on exercises throughout the course. So So this slide represents the 4 pillars of SAP BTP. So let's summarize them. So first is the database and the data management part. So databases and data management products are at the core of SAP BTP. You can manage, govern, integrate, and analyze your enterprise data to help your company make smart business decisions. In addition, you can run your data anywhere, reduce data redundancy, connect the data across diverse landscapes, as well as build and govern a comprehensive system of master data. So for databases, SAP BTP supports, as you can see, SAP HANA, SAP HANA Cloud, SAP Data Intelligence, SAP Master Data Governance, and the data management, we have Data Intelligence, SAP Information Steward, SAP Data Quality Management, and so on. Then we have the analytics piece of it. The second one, so SAP BTP gives you the tools to pull the most value from your enterprise data, get real-time insights through machine learning, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, and augmented analytics that analyze the past and the present situations while simulating future scenarios as well. So for business intelligence, we have SAP Analytics Cloud for business intelligence. We have SAP Business Objects, Business Intelligence Suite, and SAP Crystal Solutions. For data warehousing, we have solutions like SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, SAP HANA, and SAP BW for HANA. For enterprise planning, we have SAP Analytics Cloud for planning and SAP Business Planning and Consolidation. Then third pillar is the application development and integration part. So SAP BTP provides a range of tools, services, and programming models for integrating and extending your systems and solutions. You have many choices and paths for integrating and extending your SAP and non-SAP apps and systems. So SAP BTP supports the following tools. First, for the application development, we have SAP Extension Suite and SAP Process Mining by Celonis. Then for application and integration, we have SAP Integration Suite and SAP Process Orchestration. The fourth pillar is the intelligent technologies. So we keeping up with the evolving technologies using SAP BTP. So we can leverage artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, machine learning, IoT, and blockchain to deliver the apps and processes that your organization needs. So we have tools like SAP IRPA, SAP AI Business Services, and SAP Conversational AI that supports the artificial intelligence piece of it. And we also have SAP Internet of Things and SAP Edge Services, which support the IoT part of it. Right. So let's move on to the various components of SAP BTP. So some basic concepts. So let's talk about the account types. So SAP BTP provides different types of global accounts, which are enterprise and trial. A trial account lets you try out the platform for free. Access is open to everyone. Trial accounts are intended for personal exploration and not for production use or team development. They allow restricted use of the platform resources and services. The trial period varies depending on the environment. You will yeah, an enterprise account is usually associated with one SAP customer or partner and contains their purchased entitlements to platform resources and services. So it groups together different sub-accounts that an administrator makes available to users for deploying the applications. Then we have entitlements. So an entitlement is your right to provision and consume a resource, such as the amount of memory that can be allocated to your applications. Then we have quotas. So a quota will represent a numeric quantity that defines the maximum allowed consumption of a resource. Right. Then we have region. So you can deploy applications in different regions. Each region represents a geographical location. For example, Europe or US East. So a region is where the application data or services are basically hosted. Then we have services. So SAP BTP offers fast in-memory processing, sustainable agile solutions, and services to integrate data and extend applications and fully embedded analytics and intelligent technologies. So services basically enable, facilitate or accelerate the development of business applications and other platform services on SAP BTP, right? Then you have the platform users and the business users. So platform users are more of an administration kind of user, that for the BTP, and business users are basically the end users of your applications. So we'll discuss more about them later. So SAP BTP environment. So one of the most important decisions that needs to be made when planning a new application is like which BTP environment should you choose. So each environment comes equipped with different tools, technologies, and runtimes that to build applications. So SAP BTP is available on different environments to allow for greater flexibility in development process. Customers can even mix environments. So SAP BTP enables the development and running of applications across multiple environments. So let's talk about these environments. First is the Cloud Foundry environment. So the Cloud Foundry environment enables you to develop new business application and business services supporting multiple runtimes, programming languages, libraries, and services. So Cloud Foundry environment appeals to those organizations that want to develop new multi-cloud applications with a wide range of cloud technologies and languages. They also want to develop applications using Cloud Application Programming Framework, which encourages development of cloud applications at a higher level of abstraction than other environments. Then second is the ABAP environment. So ABAP environment allows you to create extensions for ABAP-based products such as SAP S/4HANA Cloud, and also develop new cloud applications in ABAP. So you can transform existing on-premise ABAP custom code or extensions to the cloud. The ABAP environment is appealing to organizations that obviously have a large skilled ABAP developer team who work primarily in the SAP ABAP-based solutions and want to extend them. Then third is the Kima environment. The Kima environment is a fully managed Kubernetes runtime based on the open source project Kima. So Kima environment allows developers to extend their SAP solutions with serverless functions and combine them with containerized microservices. The Kima environment appeals to organizations with cloud native developers with skills in multiple cloud technologies who want to develop multi-cloud applications with a focus on microservices and distributed systems with the aim of high scalability and operations automation. Then lastly, we have the Neo environment. So the Neo environment was the very first cloud environment provided by SAP. Neo is only available from the SAP data centers and not from the hyperscalers like AWS or GCP. So Neo is based on proprietary SAP developed runtime environment with support for a limited number of development languages. So with Neo environment, you can develop applications in HTML5, Java, and SAP HANA extended application services. You can also use the UI development toolkit for HTML5 to develop the user interfaces. So many organizations developed early cloud applications using Neo are now migrating these applications to the other multi-cloud environments, as these offer more flexibility to connect to any cloud provider. Plus, there are more languages and tooling options available. So throughout this course, we will be focusing on the Cloud Foundry environment for our case. Now we'll be introducing the use case for application development for HANA Cloud. So in the first scenario, we will create a product supplier Fury list report application using the Fury generator available in the SAP Business Application Studio to perform CRUD operations. The data will be persisted in SAP HANA Cloud and exposed to Fury application using OData v4. The development will follow the SAP CAP framework. We will also introduce the usage of custom handlers in SAP CAP. So we have three main development layers for application development in HANA Cloud. For each of those layers, we need a specialist or developer persona. Like starting from the bottom, we have the database development, where we define the data persistency, analytical models, data processing logic, and we'll need like a database developer for the same. So we'll be modeling using core data services, calculation views, SQL scripts. So these uh, technologies will be used. Second is the application development, where we define the OData services, Java, Node.js, or Python code, and we need an application programmer for the same. Then third, we have the client UI development. So we define user interface using SAP UI5 as configure SAP Fury, and we need a client UI developer for the same. Right. So now we'll be introducing the architecture in SAP HANA Cloud. So we'll talk a bit about Cloud Foundry more. The Cloud Foundry environment basically allows you to create polyglot cloud applications in Cloud Foundry. So it contains the SAP BTP Cloud Foundry runtime service, which is based on the open source application platform managed by the Cloud Foundry Foundation. So Cloud Foundry makes it faster and easier to build, test, deploy, and scale applications, providing a choice of the underlying infrastructure, developer frameworks, and application services. Cloud Foundry allows your organization to focus on the applications and not the platform. So it removes the cost and complexity associated with configuring, managing, and securing infrastructure for your applications. Now, Cloud Foundry has significant benefits to developer and organization. So we'll discuss about some benefits now for the Cloud Foundry. First is it is language independent, which means you can choose any language runtime and add new languages as needed. Then second is there is an admin separation, which means administrators and developers can work in parallel. Then third, Cloud Foundry has a standard command line interface, which means the same command line interface is used by all the Cloud Foundry providers, not just SAP. And lastly, it is open source. So which means contributions by many companies and updates and new features come faster. Now we'll describe the runtime application architecture. So the Cloud Foundry application can be accessed via a URL. The application can provide via the URL various types of content, like a set of HTML5 pages that you can access from a web browser, a REST service which can be read by a client application. And the applications are basically deployed to the target platform by using the push operation of the platform API. And for this reason, in Cloud Foundry parallels, the applications are quote unquote pushed to the platform. So what does it mean to push a application to the platform? So it works as follows. First is the application files are uploaded to the platform. Then second is programs called build packs are executed to create archives that create the self-contained and ready to run executable applications. So some of the most typical activities executed by build packs include downloading any required libraries and other dependencies and configuring the application. Now, different build packs exist for the different target runtime environments such as HTML5, Node.js, Java, Python, and HANA database, right? Now, organization in spaces. So applications run with a fixed two levels hierarchical structure made of organization and spaces. Yeah, so as you can see here, the hierarchy. So we have organization as the top level. We create an organization. Inside the organization, we can create multiple spaces. Now each space will have its own set of applications. So that's the hierarchy for Cloud Foundry. Then application services. So application server provides services, providing features the application can consume. For example, the following functions are accessible as services, as you can see: SAP HANA database, access UAA, identity provider, SAP UI5 core library. So these are all services. So now we'll be having a demo. So first is how to create your personal SAP.com account. And next we'll see how to deploy a HANA Cloud database instance in BTP. Okay, so in this exercise, so we'll create SAP.com account. So we are navigating to https people.sap.com and we are clicking on the register button. So in the registration phase, so we have these form which we need to fill out: first name, last name, username. We set a password, and then if we scroll down, so we specify our contact preferences. We acknowledge these conditions and click on the register button. So once you do that, thank you email will be sent. You have to send, sorry, a confirmation email will be sent on your email ID. So you have to open the email. So it will read right this notification: activate your account for sab.com. So you just have to open it and you have to click this button to activate your account. Click on continue. Right. So once your account is activated, so your profile is set to private. So it means you can't create content in community and your profile is not visible to any other users. So you can change your privacy settings as well. So this is this is your dashboard. Now you have successfully created your SAP.com account. So next we'll have a HANA Cloud database instance deployment. So let's see. So in your BTP free tier accounts, you will already have access. So you will have to open the HANA Cloud Central from your HANA Cloud option on the left hand side in your space. So once you do that, this screen will open, and here you can create your HANA Cloud database instance, right? So this is called the HANA Cloud Central. We click on create. And so here you will have these options: what type of HANA Cloud instance you want to create. Is it a HANA Cloud HANA database or a HANA Cloud data lake? So we'll choose HANA Cloud HANA database. So here you will see some information about that. It's an in-memory database, multiple model storage and processing engines and so on. We just click next. We'll enter this name, we'll give the instance a name, we'll select the organization space. It will automatically be set to what you are in right now. So we'll just say to trial database, we give some description. So this is the password that will set for the DB admin user of your HANA Cloud database. So we probably need to remember this. Click on next. So this is the information. So you will have, I think, only 30 GB available compute to virtual CPUs and 120 GB of disk space. So we'll just click next. Then you can choose your preferred availability zone to improve performance. So that will leave it and click next. So here are some advanced settings for the HANA database. So we can basically choose what kind of connections we can allow to connect to our HANA Cloud database instance. So is it only the BTP IP addresses or all IP addresses or specific range? Then we also have the cloud connector, whether we want to enable the cloud connector or to connect to the on-premise remote sources. So we'll just leave it and click next. Then there's also an option to create a data lake within this. So we'll not create it, we'll just review and create. So this is the entire information overview page. We'll just click on create instance. So now it will be in the creating status. So after some time that will get created, we click refresh and the status will change to running, right? So this is how we create the instance. So it's time for the first poll. So in this poll, we'll request your participation. All the participants need to submit the answers. So I'll request Ramit to launch the first poll. Ramit, can you please launch the first poll? Yep, thanks. So I hope everybody is able to see the question. So what are the benefits of Cloud Foundry? So it is a multiple choice question. So we have discussed this in the previous slides. So request everybody to answer this. I'll wait a minute or two. Okay, I see 55% people have participated. I'll wait 5 more seconds. Okay, so I'll end the poll now. 61%. Yep. Thanks for your participation. Okay, so these are the answers. So what are the benefits of Cloud Foundry? So transport management, we did not discuss that. So we discussed it is open source. It is admin separation is there. It is language independent. And the fourth one was that it provides a standard command line interface. So I think most of you have answered correctly. So, yeah. Okay. So we'll move to the unit sec 2 now, which is introducing the SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. Okay, so traditionally, application development meant that there was a need to understand the technical dependencies between several components in addition to the focus on domain knowledge. Now, this added huge complexities during the development life cycles, resulting in non-agile and less flexible applications. Now, in the modern world, agility and flexibility is the key to success, and hence there was a need to simplify the development lifecycle by reusing the knowledge gained over the years and reducing the need of involvement in the technical aspects. Now, to overcome the challenges by providing guidance to the developers, but also by taking away some of the more technical or foundational tasks to help them focus on the business logic, the SAP Cloud Application Programming Model was born. Now, SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, or simply put CAP, it is an open and opinionated framework of languages, libraries, and tools for building enterprise-grade app services and applications. Now, SAP CAP model is opinionated as it guides developers through proven best practices and a great wealth of out-of-the-box solutions to recurring tasks. And at the same time, it remains open to choose technologies, select your own architectural pattern, or use CAP or parts of CAP, right? Now, SAP Cloud Application Programming Model complements the cloud native technologies with these components. So first is the CDS. So CDS is also known as Core Data Services, and it is the data modeling infrastructure, also known as the backbone of the programming model that provides means to capture service definitions and data models. Then we have service SDKs. SAP Cloud Application Programming Model has libraries available for both Java and Node.js, which you can use to provide and consume services through synchronous and asynchronous APIs. The SDKs include out-of-the-box integration to the lower level platform services, such as authentication and credential flows, or on and offboarding of the SaaS tenants. Then we have some generic service providers that interpret CDS models to automatically serve the metadata and CRUD requests out of the box. Then we have data access layers, which use the CDS models to support higher level data access options. For example, from data models in CDS, we can generate the corresponding sets of JPA classes. Then SAP Business Application Studio will be our IDE of choice, as well as other tools tailored for the new programming models such as CDS editors, code assist, outline views, new project explorer, etc. They can also be used. Now, the purpose of SAP Cloud Application Programming Model is to focus on the domain problems. As can be seen in the image, the developers need to focus on the areas highlighted. So this is achieved by close collaboration of domain experts and developers to declaratively capture domain knowledge in CDS models, then fuel generic runtimes to serve the recurring tasks automatically, and thirdly, minimizing the boilerplate code to real custom logic, right? Then there's something called the golden path of SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. So it basically, this slide defines what you as a developer need to do and what the framework takes care of. So first, like you can see, you define your data model using CDS, and the framework will take care of the automatic deployment to SAP HANA. Then you can define your services also using CDS, and the translating to OData service definitions, requesting, serving the requests out of the box, standard validation, health checks, all those things will be done by the framework. Then you can add custom logic using Java or Node.js, and the framework will again take care of the handling of database connections, tenant isolation, parsing the input, serializing the responses. And then you can add Fury user interfaces using CDS annotations and the translation to OData vocabularies, generating the Fury elements app skeleton will be again taken care by the framework. Then you can also reuse the existing services from, for example, from SAP S/4HANA using CDS service SDKs, and constructing and handling the HTTP request or providing APIs in Java, Node.js, mashups with local data. This will be taken care by framework. Now we'll get started with the SAP Business Application Studio. So before developing the applications or data models in HANA Cloud, we should introduce this tool, which is called SAP Business Application Studio, which is a web-based integrated development environment supporting a wide variety of development scenarios. And one of those scenarios is data modeling in SAP HANA Cloud. Business Application Studio natively supports Git for source file version management. Git controls are embedded into Business Application Studio interface. Business Application Studio is based on Thea, which is a project from Eclipse Foundation to which SAP contributes. It is a plugin compatible with Microsoft Visual Studio Code. This makes it easy to add extensions, and there are many open source extensions available that improve the productivity of the developer. So why is SAP moving to Business Application Studio? So historically, some of you might know HANA applications were developed using SAP Web IDE. Now, Business Application Studio is a next generation IDE and offers customer tools that are commonly used by the coding community worldwide. Now, many developers will already be familiar with development tools that look and feel the same, such as Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Now, Business Application Studio will be the common IDE for all the non-ABAP-based SAP products. Now, it offers a very good performance, and it is open, flexible, and customizable as well. You can add lots of different plugins to improve the productivity of the developers. Now, before using Business Application Studio, there are some preparation steps that we need to do. So you have to basically subscribe to Business Application Studio service at the BTP sub account level, and you do this in the BTP cockpit. And you have to basically, in the entitlements, you have to assign the Business Application Studio service assignment. And then you have to create an instance of Business Application Studio in your sub account. Go to the services and service marketplace. Then you also have to assign a relevant role collection for the Business Application Studio to the user. So you have to assign that role collection to the user, whether developer or administrator or whatever. Then you have to also add the user to the organization members list in Cloud Foundry organization members. And lastly, you also have to add the user to the Cloud Foundry space member list with the space developer role. Right. Now, development spaces in Business Application Studio. So in SAP Business Application Studio, each developer has his or her own environment. This environment is made up of one or more development spaces. So be careful not to confuse development spaces with the Cloud Foundry spaces. This is an entirely different concept. Now, the managing of development space. So the landing page of SAP Business Application Studio contains the list of development spaces. And the list includes the name of the development space, the kind of the application, the status of the development phase, whether it is stopped, running, starting, and the creation date and the ID of the development phase. Now, a development space must be running before you can work in it. So you start it up from the landing page. When it is running, the name of the development space becomes a hyperlink that you use to enter your development space. Now, once a development space is created, its name and kind of application cannot be changed. However, you can modify the list of optional extensions to add or remove some. Before that, the development space must be stopped. So name and kind of the application, as you can see, so you can create multiple development spaces with their own name and kind of application. Like here we have given DS1 name to kind of application, we selected SAP Fury. For the other development space, we are choosing like cloud business application or HANA native application. So then there's also an option, we'll see this in the demo as well, to have additional extensions along with the kind of application. Like we choose CDS graphical model along with Fury. We can choose HANA tools, HANA calculation view editor along with this, and so on. So name and kind of application once a development space is created cannot be changed, but we can still modify the additional extensions or delete or add them as required. And if you see a status as two are running, one is stopped, so yeah, that is that. Then it is also possible to export the entire content of a development space as a compressed .tar.gz archive. And for that, obviously, the development space must be running. And at the end of development space export, you are given detailed information on how to import the development space content into another one. Generally, the target development space should be an empty one. Yep. Now, how to create a project in Business Application Studio. So this is the screen of your basically your development phase once you open it. So you can see a lot of explorers and extension views from here. So this is the explorer view, the top one, which you are seeing on this. So we have the search, we have get, we have a lot of views here. And then we have this quick start with template projects. So we can start from template. We can clone from Git from this option. We can import project archives from this. We can navigate to different folders. Then we have SAP delivered samples here. So you can see CAP Hello World, CAP Notebook Shop application to get you started quickly. And then we also have this terminal, which is very handy. And this is Linux based terminal where you can enter commands. You can also split the terminal. Then we have the status bar. So like it shows which cloud foundry and space are you connected to, which Git branch you are in, what is the status of your connection, and so on. Right. So, so if you see file structure, so if you open files and folders here, so right, so we have this, you can access parent folders of your project. So we have this default home user folder already there. So we do not store files directly in any of these folders directly under the user folder, right? So instead we create a minimum of subfolder under the project folder. So yeah, inside projects you can have different multiple project 2, project 3, and so on. Then in SAP Business Application Studio, the development projects are basically organized into workspaces. Now a workspace corresponds to a pointer to one or several project folders, and it also stores a version of the preferences. By default, when you open a folder in the Explorer view, this folder is opened as a workspace. In turn, only the structure of the corresponding folder files and subfolders is exposed in the Explorer. Now, it is also possible to create multi-root workspaces. For that, you open the first folder as a workspace and then add one or more folders to the same workspace. Now, among others, a multi-root folder workspace allows you to work in configurations such as we can work on two sibling folders in parallel without opening any other of their other siblings. And then we can also work on two or more folders located at different levels in the folder structure. Now, compared with a single folder workspace, a multi-root workspace is materialized by a dedicated file of type .thea-workspace or .code-workspace. So, for example, my projects.thea-workspace, this file will contain a list of folders associated to the workspace, as well as the business application studio preferences that are defined specifically at the workspace level. Now, there are also workspace preferences. So for a given development space containing one or more workspaces, preferences are generally organized into a hierarchy. Like we can have development space or user preferences, which are general preferences common to all the workspaces. Then we have the workspace preferences, And then we have the folder preferences, which is only applicable for a multi-root workspace, not for a single folder workspace. Yeah. Okay, it's time for a demo. We'll get started with Business Application Studio. So in this demonstration, you will see how to create a development space. So in this instances and subscription options from services section, you will see the SAP Business Application Studio instance. So when you open it, this is the landing page basically. Just a second. So this is the landing page of Business Studio Application Studio. Initially, you will not see any of these workspaces. So it has already created 3 workspaces. It will be blank initially. So in order to get started, you have to create a development space. And when you do that, so here you choose basically to name your development space, and on the left side you choose the kind of the application. So these screenshots are a little bit older, so there are some newer options available. But the idea is this is the kind of the application. So you can choose HANA native application. You can choose full stack cloud application is what is available, I think, right now. Uh, so we choose like this. And on the right side, you will see the additional SAP extension which you can add or remove whenever required. So we choose HANA Calculation View Editor, HANA Tools, and then we create the development space. So you see that once it is created, it is in stopped status. This is the name and this is the kind. And to start it, you have to click on the start. So it will be, once it is in running, it will change to a hyperlink. Now you can open the development space, right? Okay. So second is we have to create a project in SAP Business Application Studio using MTA. So let's see. So how to create a new project from template. So we start from the template, create a new project. Then we choose, there are multiple options available, cap project, Fury application. So we are uh, just seeing how to build a basic multi-target application. Click start. So we enter the project name. So we just give the project. So depending on the project template, there might be additional steps to define the key project properties. That is fine. Click finish. Now you can see the new project opened in the Explorer pane. You can explore and modify its content. So it has created this mta.yaml file, which has only these 3 properties. So we'll discuss about mta.yaml as well later. Don't worry about this as of now. Close. So yeah, this is how we create a project. Then we are also now going to import a project archive into our development space. So okay, we will see how to import a project. If needed, open the welcome screen. You can click on help, click on welcome. So it opens the welcome screen. Now we click on files and folders. So we click the project. So we are currently in our proj1 space. So we are just opening projects folder so that we are in the parent folder now, projects. So it's now pointing to the projects folder, right? So the import target will be this folder. Now we have said click on import. We have a tar file. Just click on it and open. So now we have another project 2 coming here. So what we did was once it is imported, so it automatically says it has been imported. So if you want to open this project separately in a new workspace, you can do that. So we just clicked on that open in new workspace. So once you open it, only that project 2 will be opened as a separate workspace. Right, so this was the content of that project folder. It is automatically extracted and the imported project is opened in a new workspace and displayed in the Explorer pane. Okay. So next we'll see to how to get an overview of the user interface capabilities of Business Application Studio. Okay, let's see. So in our project 2 folder, so we click on the DB. So inside DB, we have this SRC folder. So this is showing the navigation basically. So normally DB folder will have the artifacts related to the HANA projects, right? And inside this Explorer pane, you also have this SAP HANA projects pane coming here. So it's just saying just open that. If you see this automatically recognizes DB as a HANA project and you can open it from here for deployment and other options. We'll see that in later demos how to do this and everything. So it's just showing here. It's just dragging and dropping. You can do. You click on the this DB folders, click on right click, and you can just unselect Java project. So this Java projects pane will be gone. Now we are in the Explorer pane again. We right click this blank space, and if we want to upload files, can click on upload files like a readme.txt. So it will go into the root of the project 2 folder, right? So similarly, you can also drag a complete folder from your local machine to your business application studio. Simply drag and drop also works. So if you just select this and drag in the source folder SRC, so that also works. It says click on right click the SRC. Now you can also do it this way, upload files. You can select the zip file. So this way, if you upload the zip file, it will not be automatically extracted. It will show up as test.zip inside SRC. So you'll manually have to unzip this zip file in a terminal. So right click, open in terminal. What it does is in terminal, it just goes to the SRC folder and you type this command and unzip test.zip. And now you can delete this test.zip. It has already created unzip this test folder here. Let me just refresh this. Yep, so we are in the search pane. So we are seeing HC colon 300. Files which have this keyword HC300. So we can simply replace that HC300 with some other text like this, right? So we again go to the Explorer pane and view find command. So there also, just as an FYI, there also have been some recent changes in Business Application Studio user interface. Gone into 3 bars. So that
Akshat,
difference you might.
sorry, Akshat,
Yeah, Ashish.
in between, I'm not able to hear you. It is dropping. I don't know if it's for everyone or just me, but last 2 minutes it's been
Is it
dropping. Yeah.
right now? Am I audible?
Hey, you're now audible, but in between it was going blank for a few seconds.
Okay. So which part? Can you just guide me from where were you not able to
Just
hear?
maybe 5 steps behind before you refreshed it.
Okay.
Uh,
Just a second. So this zip file deletion was clear, right? Till this step.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So from this step, I think we just click the search icon and the search pane. So here you can find text in your files basically. So we just type HC300 in the search box and basically replace this text HC300 with HC colon. Yeah, so if you see here below, you have this HC300 namespace coming in this HDB table files. So these menu bar options have basically gone to 3 bars of the top, so they are not separately visible. So some of these minor things here and there will come. So it should be fine. And this view find command option is, I think, chain to view command palette. So here what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a HANA database artifact. So you just select type in artifact and you reach this option. Click on this. So now you will see this user interface where you can select the HANA database artifact that you want to create. Just closing this terminal. That's fine. We choose the target folder. So inside data folder, go and click open. Then in the artifact type, we choose basically we scroll down here. I think my network is going off. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but there was a delay on your screen before you cut off.
Oh, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yep, sorry for that. So my network is going off. Anyways, so we are trying to create an artifact here. So what we choose was artifact type as HTTP table. So I hope this is clear. So it created the countries.hdp table. Let me do one thing. Hold on. It says it is also possible to create an artifact by just clicking on the artifact icon. Clicks SRC with the right mouse button. So we create a new artifact.
Akshat?
Hold on.
Sorry, it looks like Akshat is having some problem. He's just trying to switch. Just give him a couple of minutes, please.
Hello.
Yes,
Can you
Akshat.
hear me? Is it
Yes.
okay now?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Sorry for that. So I have just switched my network. So I hope it works now fine. So I'll just scroll it back a bit. So what we are doing is, so first we created the HTTP table file, which was straightforward. Now what we are trying to do is create a artifact in the models folder inside the SRC. So we created the models folder, and here we just type in the file name directly without going to the create artifact view in the palette. So we say customer.hdb calculation view, right? So once you do that, so this dialog box automatically opens. So if some of you have already seen how to create calculation view, you would know this screen. And this screen comes up because we have added that additional extension of HANA and HANA calculation view editor along with our kind of application in the first step, how we created the development space, right? We just selecting the data category as dimension, click create. So yeah, this is similar view. We click expand details. So yeah, that is how we created. Think this is fine as of now. So we are done with this demo. It's time for poll number two. Ramit, can you please launch poll number two? Yep, thanks, Ramit. So it has four questions. I'll wait a couple of minutes for this. So which of the two libraries are available for service SDKs? So multiple choice question here. Then which is the ID of choice when using CAP on business applications on business technology platform? Then what is recommended for data modeling? And yeah, fourth question is you're programming using CAP. You need to define OData service. What is the extension of the file you create? So yep, I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Okay, I see 65, 70% people. Okay, 55% people have participated. I'll wait 5 more seconds. Okay, I'll end the poll now. Thank you for your participation. Okay, let's see the results. Okay, so first question, introduction to, so which are the two libraries for service SDK? So it is Java and Node.js. So yeah, so which is the ID of choice? We have Business Application Studio. We discussed this. And which tool is recommended for data modeling? It is again Business Application Studio. Uh, see what does the so first question, most of you have answered correctly. Business application. So yeah, a lot of you have gotten this one as well, right? And which is the extension of file while we are developing OData service. So I think we discussed this in Golden Path slide. So even in OData service, we'll be using .cds file. So there's no .odata file now. So we only use .cds files. Access OData also we won't use in CAP. Okay, then all right. So it is end of unit 2. So we have a Q&A. So let's see if there are any questions in the Q&A panel. So please feel free to ask your questions. Don't see any open questions as of now. So any questions anyone has on the 2 units that we delivered? Otherwise, we can stop for a 15 minutes break. If we have a LH account, can we create HANA Cloud instance with that? Can you please clarify LH account? What do you mean by LH?
I think Learning Hub.
So
Yes.
to
No, it's not right. Learning Hub is separate.
right,
It- It's a different one. For your trial, you will have to work out the free tier option.
yeah. So you'll probably need a trial account or a free tier account to create a HANA Cloud instance. So Learning Hub account will not do it alone. To connect BAS, we should connect BTP. Right. So Business Application Studio is a service inside offered by SAP BTP itself. So if you remember, there were some preparation steps to use it. You have to subscribe to the Business Application Studio service, and then you have to create an instance in the service marketplace inside your BTP sub account. And then there are some roles and collection that you need to assign to your development users. So yeah, we need BTP for that. So is Ashish, were you answering this, or is it required to create a new SAP.com account if you already have a S user account?
Yeah, we'll have to check it. I don't think it is needed, but we'll have to check that. We'll get back.
Okay. We'll get back to you, Subhashish, for this. Okay, if there are no more questions, we can now stop for a 15 minutes break. Going forward, for an ABAPer can develop using BAS. So it is basically the environments are you have to choose whether you want to develop a web-based applications or you want to develop a business application, HANA Cloud application. So for HANA Cloud application, which is the focus of this course, we'll need to choose the Cloud Foundry environment, right? That is in that we need to use Business Application Studio. Okay, let's stop for a 15 minutes break now. You can grab your cup of coffee or something. Yep. I will also share that. Just give me a second. That poll slide.
Akshat, there's still a follow-up from Hari Krishna.
Okay, let me check that.
So the question, I'm not sure I understood the question. We can't develop any ABAP related applications or ABAP developments using Business Application Studio. That is the statement from our side. If you want to do that, it has to be Eclipse. But here I'm not able to understand what exactly the question was.
Okay. Yeah. So Krishna, does that answer your question, or if you can clarify more on that?
Krishna, still we can use Eclipse. Eclipse for what is not clear. Are you asking if you can use Eclipse for application development, cloud application programming, or what exactly are you asking? No, so you'll have to use Business Application Studio. You can use
Visual Studio Code. Yeah.
Visual Studio Code, but not Eclipse
Yeah.
for what we are showing here.
Okay. Ramit, maybe we can pause the recording for now. Okay, we have like 30 seconds remaining. Can we have a show of hands, maybe how many people are back? Okay. All right. Okay, I'll switch presentation now. Okay, so now we'll be starting with the unit 3, which where we'll describe a basic multi-target application. So I hope everybody is back and fresh. Okay, so the recent trends and progress for programming languages, software design architectures such as microservices, protocols like OData, and the diversity of multi-tiered and distributed deployment platforms. They've all accelerated the trend towards applications constructed out of more smaller, decoupled, and diverse modules. Now, today, business applications are basically composed of multiple parts that are developed using different languages and technologies and deployed to a variety of target runtime environments. Now, this diversity introduces many lifecycle changes. It is a good practice to use separate applications for the three tiers, which are basically the front end application and the database. So a full stack application is typically made of the combination of multiple applications and service instances. So that's why SAP extended the Cloud Foundry standard, introducing the concept of multi-target application. Now, tools provided by SAP allow you to manage multiple applications called modules in a unique development project and deploy them via a unique archive file. Now, definition of a multi-target application is comprised of multiple parts, which are modules created with different technologies and deployed to different targets, but with a single live common life cycle. Simply put, an MTA is logically a single application consisting of multiple related and interdependent parts that are developed using different technologies or programming paradigms and designed to run on different target runtime environments with a single consistent life cycle. Now, development tools provided by SAP allow you to manage multiple applications or modules in a unique development project and deploy them via a unique archive file. Now, in SAP HANA Cloud, we use SAP Business Application Studio as our preferred tool for application development using cloud application programming model paradigm. So in Business Application Studio, we have options to either create a basic MTA project or a cloud application programming model project. Throughout this course, we'll be developing the business application and related artifacts using the project of type CAP. Now in Business Application Studio, you create a CAP project, which is a multi-target application project. Now within MTA project, you will have three folders called DB, SRV, and app. Now DB is for the database level schema model. SRV is for the service definition layer, and app is for the UI artifacts. When they are deployed, every module of the project will become a separate application in Cloud Foundry, and each module will have its own build pack, development language, and runtime environment. So for example, HTML5 modules are served as static files and executed in the web browser. Node.js and Java modules are executed in the application runtime, example Cloud Foundry. SAP HANA database module generate database objects in SAP HANA database. Now we'll describe the MTA development descriptor file, which is mta.yaml. So let's look at the three aspects of the MTA model. So MTA model is basically a platform independent description of the different application modules, their interdependencies and configuration data they expose, and the resources they require to run. So this model is specified using YAML in descriptor files that accompany the development and deployment process. So MTA model will serve the following purposes. First is define an application composed of multiple subcomponents to multiple heterogeneous subcomponents. So this is the define part of it. So benefit is that tools can establish a unique life cycle of these components. Then you can, second is dependencies part where you can declare the resources the application depend upon at runtime and or deployment time. So the benefit is the tools can allocate and bind such resources. And then we can define the configuration variables whose values distinguish with different deployments of the application. So the benefit being the tools can bind subcomponents, can automate deployment based on default settings, or request missing mandatory values interactively. So as seen in the image, the application developer uses development tools to create the modules of an MTA and the corresponding MTA descriptor, mta.yaml. So the application can then be distributed in the form of an MTA archive, including the MTA deployment descriptor called MTA-D.YAML. So this specification describes an archive format as a convenient distribution file, as indicated by the direct arrow from the development tools to the deployer. So MTA deployers may also accept the pure contents of this format, namely the directory structure of the file with a deployment descriptor called mtad.yaml. An administrator can optionally augment the MTA model in the deployment descriptor with an extension descriptor called mta.ext.yaml and uses the MTA deployer to orchestrate the actual deployment. So this is basically what we have discussed. So first is the mta.yaml file, which is called the development descriptor for a MTA application. And the information in mta.yaml file provides the instructions for MTA development and build process. So mtad.yaml is the deployment descriptor and it provides the instructions for the deploy service. And the mta.ext.yaml is the deployment extension descriptor, which is optional and it is used to provide system specific details that are not known until the deployment type. So we will be discussing in detail the development descriptor called mta.yaml file. The next slides. So MTA development descriptor, as you can see, contains these 5 parts. First is the global element. So these include the application identifier and version, a description which is optional, copyright, author, and so on. Then we have the modules part, with modules created in the application, such as the HANA database module and the Node.js module. And this include the name, type, path, requirements on other modules, and so on. Then we have resources, where dependent services which are not provided by the application, such as the Access UAA service or the Access Advanced HANA Deployment Infrastructure Service, Container Service, or the Job Scheduler Service. They can be defined here. Then we have properties. These can be basically specified when the value has to be determined during the deployment. For example, for the generated URLs of the other services or API keys. Then we have parameters. So reserved variables of a module are called parameters, which can be accessed by other modules. So for example, user, app, -name, default host, or default URI using the placeholder. So these are all defined using the placeholder notation, which is this dollar like service name, and this is the placeholder notation. So parameters can be read only or they can also be read write enabled. We'll discuss these parts in detail in the next slides. So let's look at the global elements section. So here we have the basically 3 mandatory properties we call, which are the schema version, ID, and version. So schema version basically specifies the version of MTA descriptor in the following notation, which is major.minor.patch. So indicating a major version is also enough. Then ID is the mandatory string to identify the application. Then we have description, which is the optional description text. Uh, then version is again mandatory version of the application in the same major.minor.patch format. Then we can also specify optionally a provider, which is a string to specify the organization providing the application. We can also add copyright information as an optional in the copyright property. Okay, so now let's look at the MTA module section. So within MTA development descriptor, the module element basically declares the source modules of the MTA project. So it has like name, which is mandatory name of the module, unique in the description file. So you can see this name SRC office supplies SRV, so that's the name. Then we have type, the mandatory content of the module. So here you see it's a type of Node.js. So we can also have HDB module, we can have Java module, we can have HTML5 module. So that's the type of the module. Then again, path is again mandatory, file system path starting from the application's root directory. So this is the path. So name, type, and path are mandatory for the module. Then we have optional again parameters like description, which where you can give the description text of the module. Then we can also specify the requires section where you can contain the required resources of the other modules. So like here, this requires section says it needs the DB module, it's the Office Supply DB container, which is a resource defined in the resources section. Then we have the provides, which is again an optional section containing the configuration data used by the other modules. Then we have properties, which are again optional named variable containing application specific configuration data. So like SRV service URL is a property. Then we have the parameters, which are optional named variables to be used by the deployer. For example, the amount of memory for the module. Yeah. So this slide shows the module types and the platform and the result that are available. So we have like Node.js module type or JavaScript.node.js. The runtime platform will be Cloud Foundry in our case, available on Access Advanced as well. So Node.js runtime is the resultant runtime environment. Similarly, for com.sap.access.hdi, it's for HDI content activation. We have the Java runtime. We have java.tomcat for Tomcat runtime for Java build pack. We have HTML5 runtime. So this is also used for app router, which we'll be discussing in the last session for this course. So these are a lot of the module types. Then resources. So a resource is something that is basically required by a module of the MTA at runtime or at deployment time, but not provided inside the MTA itself. So more precisely, an MTA descriptor declares a resource dependency, not the resource itself. Sometimes they are referred to as backing services. So again, we have name and type, which are mandatory for declaring a resource. So name is the mandatory name of the module. Then type is again mandatory content of the resource. So if you see in the resources section here, so we have declared this container resource and given name this HC Office Supplies DB, which is of type com.sap.access.hdi container. So again, this it only declares the resource, right? The dependency on the resource that is there. So we just writing this. So what resources are required for our application? Then we have this optional description text again, and then we have properties, which are again optional named variable containing the application specific configuration data. Then we have parameters, which are again optional named variable to be used by the deployer. For example, the amount of memory of the module, right? So, so these are different types of resources which are available in BTP. So you see, we just looked at com.sap.access.hdi container resource for our HDI container. And you also see there's a service and the service plan related to each resource. So this one is com.sap.access is like the common prefix for all of these resource types. Then we have some text like HANA SBSS means service broker security. So it's available in HANA service and service plan SBSS. So we also have access HANA schema resource for schema based service plan. What we are using is this container resource for HDI shared service plan. We will also be looking at access UAA, access UAA service later in the course, third session. We also have the job scheduler service and a lot of other services which we can use, right? So this that. Then reserved variables. The parameters are basically reserved variables which influence the behavior during the deployment process and or during the runtime. So a parameter can either be read-only, which is the case for most of the system parameters, and it can also be read-write or write-only. So we can specify, for example, memory and disk quota parameters for the user underscore UI module, which advises the deployer to grant memory and disk space to the application as defined in the section. So in addition, we refer to the service hyphen name and the default hyphen URL parameters, which are filled by the system using the placeholder notation, dollar curly braces, then parameter name, then curly brace end, right? So during the deployment, the parameter value is determined and the placeholder is replaced with the actual value. Okay. So then we have these parameters, which are like some of the parameters which are available. So we have like a app name. The scope of this parameter is defined in the module. So is it read only? It's all read only, yes. Then the default value is the application name in Access Advanced or the Cloud Foundry environment based on the module name. Then this is an example of that. Then we can have default URL, and the default value is again the module's default URL, which is composed as this HTTP on the protocol, then the default hyphen URI under which it is reachable. So, and then this quota is again, we can specify it is not read only. So default value is -1 or less specified in the module type. So it requires a unit of measurement like M or MB for MBs, G or GB for GBs. So it can be in upper or lower case. So we can define this disk quota as 1 GB ourselves as well. Then we have memory parameter again. We can give 256 MB is the default. We can increase it, we can decrease it. Uh, then we have the service name, which is again a read-only parameter, and the name of the service which is to be created for this resource in the Cloud Foundry environment based on the resource name. So yeah, so this is how this works. Now we'll look at a demo to set up a CAP project. So in this exercise, you will set up the CAP project. So just as a declaration, due to improvements or changes in Business Application Studio and CAP syntax, certain screenshots that you are going to see might show some differences when compared to the latest version being used. So in such cases, please refer to the release notes if needed. Now, let's see, check the dev space is up and running and click to enter. So we just click on this. So once this dev space is open, so we again create start from template. So project from template, so we'll choose CAP project this time. So we'll just click on CAP project, then click on start. So as an FY in the latest version, you might need to use lowercase in the name that we are going to mention in the project name. So that's just an FYI. If it doesn't work, then you probably use lower cases in the project name. So we just give HC office supplies in the project name. Then we select the runtime as Node.js. Now we have to add features to our project. So these options we should add as we need. So we'll just select CI/CD pipeline configuration for HANA deployment. Then we have MTA-based BTP deployment. Then we have Cloud Foundry native deployment. This one we'll select and click on finish. So once we do that, this project is created for us from the template, and we have this app, DB, and SRB folders already visible. So if you remember, app is for application development, DB is for database artifacts, and SRB is for the service layer. We'll just click on app, then we click on DB. So in DB, you see SRC folder is automatically there. So then we click on SRV just to show what it is like. Then it says familiarize yourself with these other panes like NPM scripts, HANA projects, application modeler, and so on. So NPM scripts is nothing but the scripts that are there in our package.json file. You can navigate from here. So it has the start script. So inside the HANA project, so it says ask you to execute the cds add mta command to update the YAML file if it is not already updated. So it might be an error fix which was there before. So then you will see the entries under the HANA project as shown on the screenshot. So yeah, just in the terminal, you can go in and run that command. You can open terminal and cds add mta. That is the command. Anyways, so you will see this HANA project pane appearing here, and here you see the DB project of whatever is there under the DB folder. You will be able to navigate the DB objects from here, and also open the database explorer or deploy the objects. So you can also do that from here itself. Then the application modeler, and yeah, so that's what it was. You have now set up the CAP project successfully. Think that is it for this demo. So it's time for poll number 3. Ramit, can you please launch poll number 3? Thank you. It has 2 questions, so I'll wait 1 minute for this. What is the origin of the name multi-target application? It's a single choice question. And then which of the below parameters are mandatory in the modules section? It's the multiple choice question. Okay, 54% people have participated. I'll wait 5 more seconds. All right, I'll end the poll now. 62% people. So good participation. Thank you everyone for participating. Okay. So what is the origin of the name multi-target application? So it is an application made of multiple modules running in different runtime environments. I think a lot of you have answered an application made to run on multiple front-end devices. I don't think we discussed this. We only said we will be creating different modules having their own target runtime platforms. So that is the correct answer. And the second one is which are the mandatory in the module section of the mta.yaml. So we have name, type, and path. I think name and type everybody choose. Path also most of you have chosen. So yeah, that's the correct answer. Requires is not a mandatory one. Okay, now we'll move to the last unit for today, which is managing source code using Git. So let us first understand what is Git. So Git is a tool used for source code management. So it is a free and open source version control system used to handle small to very large projects efficiently. Now Git is used to track changes in the source code, enabling multiple developers to work together on nonlinear development. So it supports nonlinear development through its thousands of parallel branches. Additionally, features of Git are like it can track the history of your project. It is free and open source. It can create backups. It is scalable. Branching is easier. It supports distributed development, and so on. So we'll take a look at some common scenarios in the next slide. Scenarios. So yeah, so let's think about a Cloud Foundry application itself. So this application with its different modules, which are HANA database module, UI module, control flow modules, so on. So they consist of a number of files organized in different folders. Now suppose the last release version of the application is version 2.1.0, and you are currently preparing new features for the upcoming minor release version 2.2.0. Now which is scheduled to release in a few weeks. So right now you might have imported the MTA project in your business application studio workspace and started developing the new features that are planned for version 2.2.0. Now this development means that there are new files as well as modifications to the existing files, and maybe the deletion of a few files, existing files as well. So at some point, you receive an important email from support saying that a bug in version 2.1.0 needs an urgent fix. Now, this cannot wait until the next minor version and requires a patch version 2.1.1. So, how do you handle this request? At the moment, your current development is not finished or tested, but you need to patch your version 2.1.0. Of course, you will want to start from the last release, and you do not want to include any part of the future functionality into the patch. But your patch might affect some files that you already modified as part of the development of the new features. So this is where a version control system comes into play. So it allows you to keep a complete change history by using milestones during the development of your code at very fine-grained level if necessary. So you can also branch your code, which means you can develop and test different features in different parallel development threads or called branches. So if a feature, so we call them feature branch. So if a feature branch is good to go, you can merge this branch with the main branch. If it is not, you can continue your development or even get rid of this branch if you realize that a development option for a feature was not relevant and you need to think about it again. So now looking at the Git architecture itself. So in a classical Git architecture, developers work in a local repository on their computer and connect on a regular basis to a central repository to share their contribution and get the contribution from other developers on the project. Git can also easily support several remote repositories for a single project. If needed, it is possible for a sub-team of developers to have their own sub-team repository to collaborate and synchronize their changes with the central repository when needed. So the basic Git workflow is like when you work with files locally in Git. The case of remote Git repositories we can discuss later. So when you're working locally in Git, so this involves these three major logical areas, which are the working directory, the staging area, and the local Git repository. So these are not all real areas in the sense that a given file is not necessarily materialized in each of them. The way to manage files in a local Git repository is very straightforward, relying on a small number of actions. So when you create a file, it is initially stored in your working directory. You can also modify or even delete if needed a file that you have previously exposed in your working directory with the checkout command. At this stage, your changes, even if they are saved in your working directory, are not yet part of the Git history. So to update the Git history, you must perform what is called a commit. So this is what will create a new point in the Git history. Reference. So a commit is basically referencing to a number of changes since the previous commit. But what changes exactly do you want to include in your next commit? So that's a question, right? So this is where the staging area comes into play. So by staging a file, you mark this new or modified file so that it is included in the next commit. You can, of course, stage several files, which is very common, or even stage all of the current changes of your working directory. So let's put it another way. The staging area is the virtual place where you put all the modifications that you want to include in your next commit. So there are some Git statuses which are here. So let's discuss them. So file status is basically shown next to the file in SAP Business Application Studio. So now we have this new with a symbol. So it means the file is new and also staged. Then you can have this text unstaged or U, which means the file is an unstaged file. So an unstaged change can be reverted by clicking on the discard changes action next to the file location itself. Then we have modified or M, which means it is modified but not staged. Then we have deleted with a D, which means deleted, staged or unstaged. Then we also have conflicting files. So conflicting file with a C if read only during a merge or rebase operation. So uh, that that is something else. So the files are in conflict, so it has to be resolved during a merge or rebase. So we'll talk about the branch concept in the next slide also. Then we have copied with a again the symbol C, and it will be in blue. So it means the file is copied. Let's take a look at the branch concept. So branching is one of the core concepts of Git, which provides a huge flexibility at a very low cost. So what is a branch? So from a conceptual standpoint, a branch is a series of commits. Technically, a branch is just a pointer that references a particular commit of the project history. So each Git repository always had at least one branch. The default branch is generally called the master branch. For many different purposes, you can create a new branch and commit your changes to one of the existing branches. So let's describe the diagram above. So after commit C3, a new branch feature 32 has been created to support the development of a new feature. Now two commits C5 and C6 have been made to this branch. In the meantime, additional changes have been committed in the master branch, which is the commit C4, right? So this is how parallel development is working basically. Now let's say this guy who's developing feature 32 wants to merge his changes into master branch. So what we what can be done is merge this feature branch onto the master branch. So that will create what is called a merge commit, which you can say C7, and it will point to both C4 and C6. and the master will move to the C7 commit. So as you can see, merge is basically also non-linearizing your branch. It creates nested kind of structure in your Git history. So yeah, then there's also a rebase operation which you also have to be very careful doing that. It actually changes the entire history and makes your history less complicated by making it linear. But that is a very careful step that needs to be done. So yeah, that's like a basic concept of branches and how this parallel development works, right? So now it's time for the demo. See, so in this demonstration, we'll set up the Git and Bash. Again, that same declaration is coming from the UI interface. So we change the current working directory to your project's directory if not already in your project directory. So then we set the Git committer. You will need a Git repository. In this example, we use GitHub. So you will need an email and password that you use to register with the Git provider. So that's how you set up the Git. So Git config, just a second. So Git config global user.email. You give your email. This is the command. Then you say git config global user.name, which is your username. So that's how you do it. And now you run the command git init, which initializes the local directory as a Git repository. So till now, this is there's no Git concept here. The moment we run git init, the history will be created, right? Repository will be created as a local repository. So we enter git init. It says reinitialize existing Git repository in home user project slash dot git. So here is where that repository is created. Now we run this command git remote add origin, the repository link. So we'll use the URL of the remote repository where your local repository will be pushed. So this can be also carried out just before the push as well. So we are adding this git remote add origin, this exercises.git uh, repository. Now, once it is added, now what we are doing is git add. So git add is basically used to stage your all the unstaged files. So if you see, once you initialize your local repositories, all the files inside these folders have changed to its symbol U, which is unstaged, right? We discussed this. It is still not part of the git history or not even the staging area. So we first add all the files initially to the staging area so that we can commit it. So that's why we run this command git add space dot. So dot symbolizes all the files will be added, right? Now they are in format A, which is new. The file is new and staged, right? Now it is also staged. Now you do a commit using this command git commit -m and give a message. First commit, M means message. So you always have to give a commit message. We just did that. Enter commit, right? So all the files have been committed now. So all the symbols are gone. Now what we are, if you see here, we are currently in the master branch of our local repository. So what we'll do is we'll change the branch to the main branch and get branch m main. It will create a new branch called main. So if you see here, get branch m main. So once you see your master has now changed to the main branch, we have created this new main branch. Now you see git push u origin main. So it will push the changes in your local repository to the Git remote repository. So Git push you origin main. So now you will give the username and password for your GitHub credentials. So all your changes have now been pushed. If you see, branch main is now set to track the remote branch main from origin, and all the changes have been pushed. So it says following options are the UI options provided in Business Application Studio. Alternatively, you can use the view from find command and get options available there as well. So for the UI options, we click this get UI. Right now in this, so if any file was changed and not staged, so it will appear here. All the changes will appear here in this area. So all those changes can be staged using the stage all changes options. Right now there are no changes to stage. So once you stage it, all that file will appear in this above the changes section, and you will be asked to enter a message to commit, and you can then click on this commit button to commit. Right. This is the commit. So it says no changes added because there are no files that are there. So it is just for demonstration purposes. So once you committed, next step is to push. So push to and follow the wizard. So it will, yeah, that's how you can do it as well from the UI. Okay, time for poll number 4. Ramit, can you launch poll number 4? Amit, are you there? Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay,
I can
thanks.
have published
Yep.
it now.
Yeah, the poll is visible now. Question. So it has two questions. Which of the following below option is used to move to the stage files to the local repository? Then what is Git? I think this should be simple questions. I see 40% people have participated till now. T 6% have participated. I'll wait 10 seconds more. Okay, thank you everyone for your participation. I'll end the poll now. So these are the answers. So the option to move the stage file to the local repository will be a commit. So 57% people have answered correctly. Push is to not to move the stage file to the local repository. Push is to basically move your committed files to the remote repository. Pushing your changes basically. Then what is Git? So Git is basically a tool for tracking changes in the source code. during the software development. So most of you have answered correctly here. So yeah, thank you for your participation. So we are done with 4 units for today. So we have 10 minutes, I think, for the Q&A. So let's see. We have some questions coming up in Q&A. Feel free to ask questions. Any any questions anyone has? Please share the link for the shared folder once again. Okay, we'll just do that. Just a
Did that.
second. Okay, you did that, Ashish.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible to share this PPT with us for future references? Yes, this will be shared. I will share it maybe within a day to
But
the
we share the
SharePoint.
PDF, right, Akshat? I don't know if PPT is specific, but yeah, slides will be shared.
Yes, it will be in a PDF format. Yep. Yep, no problem. Working on Git can be handled by a developer or an administrator. So it has to be a mix of both, right? So developer has to basically initialize his local repository, create the feature branches, and how that setup exactly is can be communicated by an administrator if available in the project, right? The feature, how to create feature branches and what is the naming conventions, how to how to merge your changes into some branches, or how are the branches created. So that setup can be done by an administrator and things like that. And the developer's responsibility is basically to follow that setup and commit and push the changes however is required, right? Can you please clarify for certification the resources and information shared here are sufficient? Yes, so as I discussed in the initial slide, so this certification is based on the learning journey content, which is also available, the link to which is available in the slide itself. So what we are delivering here is the condensed version of it, so that you can, in the live sessions, ask any question that you have on anything. But again, it is also advised to look at the learning journey link content also to get completely familiarized with the content itself, right? Yeah, no problem. Ramit, are you typing the answer? Can probably just. Okay. Any more questions? Not, then probably I can give you back your 3-4 minutes. We can end this session. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Let's meet in the next session then. Yep, thank you everyone. Ramit, we can stop the recording.